He's waving his arm. He goes, Rick, the phone. He's holding up the phone. So I'm like, who's calling me on that phone? He said, Billy Donovan. So I heard Billy. I said, what? He said, Billy Donovan. He flips out. So he comes and takes the referee, and I'm on the phone with Billy Donovan, and I'm like, holy cow. So I pick up the phone. I said, hello? Hey, Rick, how you doing? This is Billy Donovan. So I'm like, this dude called?
Yeah.
He
On
got
this
a hold
phone?
of me on the gym phone?
It's called Coaching Connection. It's called Coaching Connection. It's called Coaching Connection.
What's up, brother?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm blessed, man. I can't complain at all, man. How's everything? How was your Christmas?
Man, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful time with the fam, and high school sports down here. During the season, they give us a mandatory 5 days. Like we can't do anything for the 5 days, including Christmas Eve, Christmas, and the day after. And then the other 2 days, you put them how you want to put them. But
Oh, wow.
yeah, so it's 5 consecutive days of no work, like mandatory. Can't tell the kids to do nothing. No, you can't. So my wife loves it. The family loves it. So it's
No doubt,
a
no
good thing.
doubt.
And you guys, you don't have that kind of break, huh?
No, well, the NCAA put something in like 3 years ago. Like if you're not in an like exempt tournament like the Rainbow Classic, then you can't do anything for the 24th, 25th, 26th in regard to games.
Hmm.
But I give my guys about 4 or 5 days off every year.
Hmm.
Like we need this time, man, because our guys need to decompress and we need to decompress as coaches. We're all human, bro. It's
Yeah.
we have these guys from June and it's a long time. So by this time, your team either loves you or they can't wait till the season is over.
Yeah.
But so far, we got some good dudes that are still want to hoop and play basketball.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. But I appreciate you, Rick. I know it's the holiday season. I appreciate you taking that time to have this conversation.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I'm glad you're able to get together and get this going.
Yeah, for sure. So tell me a little bit about like how you started in the game of basketball itself. Like who introduced you to basketball?
Oh man, my father is from the Dominican Republic. Like he moved to New York City when he was like 6 and was a basketball junkie. He was 6'7", man. He passed away to pancreatic cancer at 67 3.5 years ago. So he in the Dominican Republic, he's known as the Michael Jordan of that country.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't normally talk about him like that, but since he's no longer here, I'm gonna brag about him.
Yeah.
He was the first Dominican to be drafted in the NBA
Okay.
in 1976 by the Milwaukee Bucks. So just growing up and just seeing him play at a high level, um, you know, most most sons are gonna follow their father's footsteps in that aspect. But that's all I knew, especially coming out of New York City, man. You gotta be able to play some basketball. So, he was the one that introduced me to this game, and like I tell these guys, and I tell people, I said that round basketball, that orange basketball, can do so many things for you in life, man. So, like he started it, and I'm continuing it right now.
And I see that you got your son along for the ride with you on the bench. Every time you post a picture or a video of your son at practice on the bench, or when I go watch you guys play and he's there, he's bought in all the way in. And it's a beautiful legacy to continue to pass down to your son as well.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And like I tell people, just like I don't necessarily bring him for just to have father-son bonding time, right? I bring him because he really enjoys it.
Yeah.
Like he wants to be around basketball. Now, the father-son bonding time just kind of just it coexists with everything. And I mean he just really loves it. He cares about the team, the guys. He's a little informant sometimes. In the He'll come out and tell me. So I said, "Yo, you cannot do that. You can't
Yeah.
do that. I just gotta let you know." I said, "Okay, all right, but go ahead." But yeah, I mean, he loves it, man. So that makes me feel good just to know he loves being around our team and watching basketball.
Yeah, no, my son's the same way. He's all up in the mix. He's all up in the locker room. He's trying to get on the bus all the time, and he's got all their cell phone numbers somehow, some way. He's blowing their phone up, and I'm like, you got to leave these guys alone. Nah, we're
I
playing.
love it.
I was like, oh, whatever, man, play for it.
I love it. I love it.
So, getting into coaching, from playing into coaching, what made you decide to get into the profession?
Wow, man. Yeah, I got an interesting story, man, because so when I got done playing, I played 2 years professionally in the Dominican Republic,
Nice.
right? And guys like Felipe Lopez, are good friends of mine. We grew up together, Orlando, Antigua
Hmm.
for Arkansas. I mean Illinois, I'm sorry. We grew up together. Um, so I played 2 years professionally, but when I was a junior in college, I had a daughter. And I was with her mother at the time. And after my second year of playing, I had an opportunity to go play in Luxembourg, Germany,
Hmm.
right? And they were asking for me to be there for 9 months. And my daughter and I were very close, but then at that time, her mom and I were not together, right? But my daughter and I were really, really close. And I'll never forget this day. So I had the contract in front of me, and obviously back then I'm gonna age myself. We had landlines, we didn't have cell phones, right? So I had a contract in front of me, and then you know, so I had my decision on what I was gonna do with my daughter to the right.
That's a
So
tough
I
one.
called my mother, and I was 25 at the time, man, 20, yeah, 25, 26. And I was on the phone with my mom. I was crying. I'm talking about tears. Like the tears were hitting the contract, and it was wetting the paper. And like I was like, I want to play, but I can't be away from my daughter for 9 years. I mean 9 months. She's gonna forget about me. Obviously, there wasn't any FaceTime. So my mom was very supportive. She said, "Do what you want to do. I support you. Your daughter will be fine." Blah blah blah. And I hung up that phone and I crumbled that contract up, man. And I said, I can't do it. And then at that moment was like, if I can't play it, then I'm going to coach it.
Yeah.
And then I got into college coaching.
Man, I mean, that's a big decision to make. I want to say it's a tough decision because we love the game, but obviously family trumps, playing the game any day of the week.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. And I mean, I don't regret anything about it, but I mean, I was 25 and I wanted to play. I enjoyed my first 2 years of playing professionally, and I said, man, I can go to Europe for free and play basketball, see how
Yeah.
it goes. Um, but like you said, man, I just I mean I couldn't do it, and I never regretted it. I never did. Um, you know, you know, I mean I played in every men's league possible just to keep it going, um, but I had to do what I had to do.
It's hard to let it go. I mean, even now, I don't know if you still play at all. But even now, I'm 40. I still try to get out there as much as I can just to keep the knees a little greased up and keep them moving and operating and functional. Not to try to prove anything, but just I still love to play the game of basketball.
Yeah, hey, my mind tells me to play, and I don't want to jinx you, uh, but like I've had 7 friends and family members combined, because I'm older than you, right? So the older you get, your body kind of wears. So I had 7 friends and family members pop their Achilles. So,
Man, I'm knocking on wood right now, bro. I'm knocking on wood right now. Look, hold
oh,
on.
please, please.
No, bro, I'm telling you, we have an alumni tournament that we started. Me and my buddy started at our high school that I work at now. I coach at the high school I graduated from, and so the alumni tournament's a big old fundraiser. We give away $1,000 to the seniors or whatever. But it's really also a way for us to relive our moment and so our glory days. And so my team is one of the older teams in the tournament. And every year, my teammates they get older and older, and I still feel good. Like I still feel like I can compete with anybody on the floor. But then I love my guys. I look down at the bench at my team and I'm like, oh man, we're people are popping Achilles, people are pulling hamstrings. I mean, they're getting hurt left and right, and I'm thinking, man, our days are numbered for sure. I don't know how long we can do this. Not as a
No,
team.
you're 40. You're good, man.
Yeah.
LeBron James is gonna be 40 in 2 days. He's still playing. You're
Yeah.
good.
No, I still feel good. I'm looking at my teammates and I'm thinking, whew, man, But then I see Raul and Gabe over there in Tennessee hooping, and it gets me all fired up. I'm like, okay, it's still a thing. I'm not the only one.
No, Raul was a hooper, man.
Yeah, that's what they said. That's what they were saying, man.
He couldn't shoot. He couldn't shoot at all.
No,
But he could. I mean, I'm talking about like that dude could find the open dude. I mean, he was a point guard,
yeah,
an old traditional point guard. That dude was gonna find the open guy, man. And I mean, it's good that he played. I didn't even know he plays. That's pretty awesome.
yeah. Him and Gabe will post stories on their video. They'll get up at 5 in the morning on during the week and play like 3 times a week at some gym and just talk all kinds of
Oh
mess.
wow.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
it's good. That's good. So you're in this profession. And you can't do it alone. You got to have people to lean on. So, who are some of the mentors and buddies that you have that you can lean on and talk to, throughout the season?
Well, early on in my career, so my high school coach played for Coach K at Army.
Okay.
So he kind of inspired me to really get into coaching when that time came. Um, because he was a tough dude, man, but he was also caring and loved his players, but he was a tough dude. We won a lot of basketball games in high school together. And then I was able to just to meet, just people like I always say that, that around basketball can, afford you some great relationships in life. And Quanzo Martin is I've known Quanzo. So my dad coached Quanzo in Puerto Rico in the professional league, and that's how I met Quanzo in 1996. He had just got cut by the Vancouver Grizzlies, and so I met Quanzo there, and then I just stayed in touch with him even when he was an assistant at Purdue,
Mhm.
and then when he got his head coaching jobs, and it was a couple opportunities that were possibly shaken during the times he was a head coach, but then I was doing my own thing, and so when I need somebody to talk to, basketball related and even life related, man, that's the guy that I call. He's probably my number one phone call outside of any, family, but I'm just saying strictly coaching profession.
Yeah.
I do have some other guys, but Quanzo was the guy. Orlando Antigua was a guy. He still is. He's still a great friend today. Um, but Quanzo Martin is my guy that I bounce questions off and, what would you do in this situation? How would you handle this approach? And that dude gives me some gems even to this day.
And honesty, right? That's what you're looking for. Someone to be real with you and kind of give you their take on things. And we can't do it alone, right? And so, how important is it for you though to, I guess, reciprocate that with somebody else, and kind of help guide another younger generation of coaches?
Extremely important, man, because, like life goes by you pretty fast. So when I was 25, like I wouldn't say that I acted like I knew everything. I was a sponge to information
Yeah,
and to experience. Like I always wanted to learn, and everyone's not like me. I'm not patting myself on the back, but I always wanted to learn what can I do to be in your position? What can I do? What do I need to do? I used to go to all the camps and all the clinics and practices. When I got done playing, and like for the younger generation, I have a great staff. My assistants are young. Like I have one assistant that's 47, um, but the other two are young. Like they ask a lot of questions, and one thing as an old head, like as they would call us, is like you don't want to like come off like you know everything.
yeah,
Like you just want to tell them your experiences.
yeah,
And I think if you come off as you know everything, then they kind of tune you out.
for sure.
And then we have some really young GAs that are going to be some dudes in this coaching profession if they choose to stick it out. and they'll come in the office and ask a few questions here and there. But like I said, it's your delivery, and for me, I want to make sure that as soon as they leave my office, that they left that office with something
Hmm.
that's informational, something. I mean, it may not be everything. Everybody can't grasp everything at that time, but I want them to feel. So every once in a while, I'll ask them later in the day, "Hey, what'd you get out of that conversation?"
Yeah.
And if they can reciprocate something really, quickly back, then I know that they were listening and not just hearing me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
My goal in this profession, because I had it done for me, is just to establish a cycle of growth in this business.
Yeah.
Um, growth for people that look like me, a growth for Hispanics, and even for a young men that don't look like me, just good young men that are going to be really good coaches. Um, because I have little boys too, and if my son wants to be a coach, that young man that I'm growing may have a job like I have a job at that time of his life, and
Yeah.
I would love for him to hire my son or somebody that I know. So, it's all just stacking the bricks in this business.
And speaking of, Latino coaches, right? As you brought up a few minutes ago, how many Division I head coaches right now are Latino?
Ooh, me, Frank Martin, Ron Sanchez. I think it might just be us three today.
Right now, I think it's just three, maybe. But it's a small group, so one, I'm sure it brings a great sense of pride to be part of such a small group. But how important do you feel it is to be, I guess, the example for that young generation of Latino coaches?
Man, extremely important, man, because you know the Latino players are growing in this business, right?
Yep.
So why not the coaches? We have a lot of us American coaches are going into these countries and taking players that are really talented young men. Um, so why not? I mean, why not? I mean, us coaches grow in the same form. We can coach basketball.
Yeah.
We can develop relationships. We're all human beings, man. I mean, like there's no exact science. It's just people that are willing to give us opportunities and invest in um the Latino coaches growing. I need to do a better job. I always feel I need to do a better job, of growing, like this a program and young coaches in the business. And there's a lot of young assistant coaches in the business that we have to continue to promote and show love. I think, if Raul is ever you're ready to leave where his situation is once he wins the Natty, that dude could be a Division I head coach. And I don't know Gabe, I know of him, but I know he's going to be a head coach one day. And there's so many more out there, but we have to promote each other, man. This is a dog eat dog world, and like we got to show love to each other and to continue to grow because if we don't, it's going to fade away really quickly.
No doubt.
It's going to fade away really quickly, and that'll be a sad day if it happens. But we have to continue to be on it. Obviously, in our seasons, we're really consumed with our players and winning games. But the LABC, Lucas Ramirez is doing a phenomenal job. As well as a couple other guys. But we have to continue this so we can continue to grow in this business.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't agree with you more. Makes me proud to be able to go and watch you do your thing and coach and guys in your position lead the way. It's a big deal. And I don't know if people realize it, but for us guys watching, it's a big deal. So we appreciate what you're doing, Rick.
I appreciate that, brother.
So I'm watching you coach and I'm a very passionate. I mean I'm all over the place, and I see a lot of fire in you when you're coaching. And I see your players, man. Your players are, they're tough. They play with grit and they're hard nosed. So is this intentional? Do you think that is this an extension of your personality, or is this what you're looking for when you're recruiting kids into your program?
A little bit of both, man. Like I've always been a fiery dude. I was a head coach at 28. At a really good junior college in Pennsylvania, Lackawanna College. And in my first 2 years, and I'm ashamed to say this, but I'll say it, right? Because I've grown from it. In my first 2 years, I was 28 years old as a head coach. I got 4 technical fouls in year one and 4 technical fouls in year two. And that's a lot.
Yeah.
And my temper was on a different level. And, I was with my wife at the time, and she's like, man, you need to chill out. It's not a good look. Um, and you're at that age, like I would say, but I'm just passionate. And she said that there's a difference between being passionate and just being crazy.
Crazy.
And it really stuck with me, man. Like I knew when I got the opportunity again, and when it happened in Tallahassee, um, like I said, like I have to tone down a little bit, man. And what you see is me,
Hmm.
but also in the recruiting process, we made sure that we recruited guys that are tough and that play that way,
Yeah.
and we almost have to tone them down a little bit from playing too tough if there's a such thing, if that makes
No, no,
sense.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So they, like they, I feed off of them. They don't just, I just don't feed off of me. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
And but that's our identity. We still have a couple guys who we have to get there.
Hmm.
So they're talented, but they don't play as hard as some others, but we got to get them there. But that's why the season is long and the conference is mainly in January, so we can get them there by that time. But you know, I mean, like there are not many tough teams. I mean, like there are not many teams that win that aren't tough and have passionate, and emotional coaches and players, and that's what I do. And as long as the good man upstairs allows me to continue to coach this game, I'm going to continue to do that.
Yeah, no, I can appreciate that grit and that toughness, and I'm watching the game, and I'm like, man, I'm just loving the battle and the tenacity that they were playing with. But then I look over and I see you, and you got the same kind of demeanor on the bench, and so it matches and aligns perfectly.
I appreciate it.
The balance between work and family. Now, how do you, or what? Maybe I should ask, what advice would you give yourself, the younger version of yourself, coming into the profession on how to balance that work life? Because, like you said, it's very consuming, especially in the middle of season, especially in the middle of conference play. I mean, you are all in and consumed and trying to make sure that we're winning games. And so, just that work-life balance, what is some advice you'd give a younger coach?
Like, I mean, I would say, so put your family first. I, Trust me on that.
Yeah.
Obviously your profession, allows you to do something you love. It allows you to support your family, but put your family first. Well, how do you put your family first? Involve them in your profession.
Yeah.
Involve them. Have them come to the office. Bring your kids to practice. Have your wife sit in practice. Have your wife around your players. And I did that from day one. Involve them in your profession because like your spouse, man or female, if you're a female coach or what have you, they understand what you're in. And if they don't understand it, then that's an issue that you have to fix on your own.
Yeah.
But they understand what you're in, but you got to involve them in it, right? And you have to make time. Marcus, I'll tell you this, bro. So when I first got into business in Division One business in 2008, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to work for guys who love their families,
Hmm.
right? But when I first got in, man, this business kept you away from your family for like 18, 19 straight days
Yeah.
on just recruiting alone, bro. Just recruiting. And I mean, there were some coaches that were like, hey, man, don't come to practice, go recruit. And, just show up at the games. And then when the game's over, go back recruiting. And, you know, at that time, there wasn't any FaceTime. And FaceTime is not the answer, but,
Nope.
like now you're able to see some facial expressions, right? But my point is that, my wife and I and and my kids, we like we're so strong together. One, because I involve them, and I make time. Like I don't stay in the office all day.
Yeah.
I tell my staff, we're not going to operate that, like that. Just get your work done. If you get it done, and then we come in the next morning and talk about it, then we're good. I
Yeah.
don't need you here at 7 or 8 o'clock. Go have dinner with your wife. Go have dinner with your wife and kids.
Yeah.
Go spend some quality, go decompress from work. Don't bring work home. And I will never, ever, ever do that. And some coaches are different.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it. To each their own, but it's not something that, I mean, I will ever do. So young coaches out there, I know you're hungry and you're grit and you're willing to do the extra and go the extra mile, which is fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Just be careful with who you work for and if they're going to consume your life. If you're married I mean, if you plan to have a family,
Yeah.
if you want to stay single, then go for it. But if you're married and want to have a family, just be careful with someone that's going to have you in the office from 7 to 7 every day with no days off. That is not healthy for your profession. I promise you it's not.
Not healthy for your profession and your personal life. No, I agree. I do the same. Very similar to what you're saying. My wife comes in. Even like the other day, we Team Christmas. No prizes that day. Just came in. She made breakfast for everybody in the gym. We exchanged
There you
gifts,
go.
the mix. She's, and when a group graduates, she's more emotional than anybody. More emotional than me. She gets an attachment all the same, and so I think that's vital, right? Like involving them as much as possible because it is a busy profession. You are occupied with the job quite a bit, but if they're involved and in the mix and they feel invested, um, no, that goes a long way.
100%, man. And your wife sounds like my wife, man. The Thanksgivings, the Christmas, I mean, like the random team dinner
Yeah.
or, a team gathering. I mean, like she looks forward to those days. If you follow me on Facebook, you'll
Yeah,
see all those, but you got to involve your family, man. If you don't involve your family, it can be rough for you. And um, like I would hate to see young coaches have to have some form of separation from their family because of their profession. That's the fear. And, I'll never, promote that. And now don't get it twisted, man. We work here now. We get after it.
yeah.
But there's enough time in a day to spend time with your family and your work.
Oh, sure. I mean, you could do both. Like you said, as long as you get your work done, and then okay, yeah, now go do your thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So a couple questions. One of them goes back to kind of what you alluded to a little while ago. In terms of, I guess, player personalities, right? You're looking for kids with toughness and grit and super aggressive. Now, do you think it's easier to tone that down, or do you think that can be taught to someone who maybe isn't naturally as aggressive?
Um, I think it's easier to tone down. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I think toughness is a skill. I don't know if you can really teach it to someone.
Yeah, yeah,
Like what you see from some of my guys, I can't say that it's because of me
yeah.
because they did it prior to, coming to me.
That's what drew
But
you
it's
probably.
yes, yes. Now, it was something that we looked at in the recruiting process and talked about on the phone and like the vetting, like going into this year, the vetting for recruiting for us was on a different, like I told my staff, I said, you need to vet every kid like they're going to work in the Pentagon.
Yeah,
And just I mean everything about them. And every kid on our team is not perfect by any means. We need to recruit guys that we can feel that we can go into McNeese and Stephen F. Austin, and win those games and Incarnate Word. And
mhm,
it's no guarantees we're going to win it, but at least we know from the preparation until the referee throws it up that I got some dudes that are going to fight with me. Now, whatever the outcome of the game shows is how it is.
yeah,
But at least I know going into there, like I have some tough dudes that are going to battle for 40 minutes. Um, so I think it's easier to tone down, and you tone it down through verbiage, through film. Hey man, I mean, like I appreciate your toughness and your physicality, but you got 2 fouls in 2 minutes, bro. And this is what, and I mean, like you being extra tough on this possession is unnecessary.
yeah,
Why do that? Oh, coach, you're right.
yeah.
Rather than, getting a guy who isn't as tough and get him to play tougher. I'm not saying it can't happen, but it's harder.
Most
It's
definitely.
harder. Yeah.
We have the same conversation with coaches all over. I just want to know what your take was because you guys are tough, man. You guys play, like I said, very hard and gritty. So I didn't know what your take was on that. Now, watching the news and reading stuff online and you hear talks about the game of basketball in the NBA and the ratings and the viewership going down. Now, do you have any take on what that may be?
So I'm kind of you're in the a fold of old school and new school. I'm not the old school guy that is always like, man, back in the day, man, we used to elbow people. I'm like,
Yeah.
I tell people, I'm like, well, that was illegal back in the day. They just allowed it.
Yeah.
Uh, but so like I'm torn because I'm in favor of the players now. Like the skill set of a lot of these guys today is just
So high.
unbelievable,
Yeah, it's crazy.
unbelievable. In comparison, there was a lot of skilled dudes, excuse me, back in the day. It wasn't as many as they are now. But the game, the NBA wanted to see more scoring. I
Hmm.
don't like that people blame the players for being soft because the players didn't change the rules. The
It's
NBA
just
wanted to see more scoring, so they basically eliminated the power forward. The power forward is non-existent. The power forward was Charles Oakley and Horace Grant
yeah, yeah.
and those dudes and Tom Chambers and
Yeah,
I could go on and on. And now the power forward is the perimeter guy that shoots threes, right? Um, Now the viewership going down, I think it's a little twofold. I think it's streamers, a lot of free NBA out there.
yeah.
I think it's people are locked into to football right now.
Do that.
Like I'm a huge NFL guy and college guy. It'll be interesting. Now come to me at the end of January. If NBA viewership is still low, then there's something that needs to be
Address.
checked out.
Yeah,
And I'm sure there are people out there that don't like it for political reasons. Oh, these players are too soft today. These players shoot too many threes, which they do.
yeah, yeah,
But I mean, it's a lot of things, man. I can go on and on about. I'm a huge NBA guy,
yeah.
and I can go. I mean, like, what do you think about it?
I'm a competitive guy. I don't like seeing a lot of blowouts, and I don't like seeing a 145 to 111 kind of games.
100%.
But like yesterday, I was watching the Spurs and the Knicks. Obviously, I'm a Spurs fan, and we got some growing up to do. But the game itself was a good game because it was just really competitive. Guys were kind of just being physical and going back and forth. Came down to the very last minute and a half, I think. But just watching the competitive nature of those guys kind of go at it, and just to be honest, I don't watch NBA right now as often just because, like I said, we get busy. I come home, I don't watch the basketball. I watch, I don't know, whatever crime show my wife is watching. Oh. So, but the games I do see, it's not always that, you know, fi physically competitive. I remember growing up and watching them just go at each other's necks constantly. So that I think that part of it isn't, it's not there every night. It's there, but it's just not there every night.
Right.
Whereas I think it was a lot more consistent back in the day. But again, I'm kind of like you. I'm not old, vouching for the old school is the only way to play. I do appreciate where the game has evolved to. I do appreciate the high level of skill that these guys are coming in with. Um, but guys are taking a lot of nights off, and it's not quite the same in terms of that. But I don't know what the answer is. That's for sure.
Yeah, that I mean, and what you just brought up is the guys taking a lot of nights off is disturbing.
Mhm.
Because you see the older school guys playing 82 games and 80 games. And one thing I do think though, is that I think today's player, including college, plays too much basketball.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't think there's a break in basketball with the even NBA guy. I mean the NBA guys go harder in the summer than they do in the All-Star
Oh
game.
man, I mean they're in these gyms in town nonstop, nonstop. Hey, when's the
And
run?
it's
Where's
just
the run at? Where's the run at?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and like that's why like I think injuries are so at a high level with guys. like the NBA players have the best doctors, the best trainers that any sport can imagine,
Mhm.
and guys tweak an ankle and they're out for 6 weeks, and it's
Yeah.
like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
But you guys have the best doctors. You guys should, like your ankles are taped. Everybody's ankles aren't taped.
Yeah.
What is it? Why are you out so long?
Yeah.
Why are you resting your body? Why is it load management? It's just, I think today's kids, young kids just play too much basketball. And I never ever thought I would ever say that. But it's a lot. It's 12 months out of the year, your body's gonna get boom, boom, boom,
Beat
boom.
up. Yeah.
And
Beat
that's
up
what
or
it's showing
mentally,
now.
either beat up or mentally burnt out. A lot of
Yeah, yeah, yep.
mentally. And then by the time they get to college or whatever, they're just like, I'm done.
Yeah,
I don't want no more of this.
that's it. That's it.
And I think too, like this is gonna be real random, but I think back even to like back in the day with the gladiators and they're watching people just fight to the death, right? Just to just to watch somebody go at it, that competitive fight. I think that's what people maybe want to see. Not obviously not the Malice in the Palace type of deal, but
Right.
just that Charles Oakley type of competitive toughness. You don't always see it all the time, and so
No,
I
you don't see the
that's
raw test.
the
Right.
competitive toughness, right? We don't need to go up in the stands.
Right, 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 right. Even outside of him going into the stands, he was a competitor. Like he was,
Oh man,
man, him and Kobe used to go at it
I loved
prior
it.
to him going you're going to the Lakers. But
But you even watch the All-Star game, like I know it's a big topic of discussion right now, but even in the early 2000 All-Star games, not even back in the 90s and 80s, but even just in the early 2000s, like they went at it, right?
they
It
went
might
at
have
it.
been the middle of the season, but those games were a lot more competitive and they were out there trying to prove a little something. And it seems like right now these guys are just having fun. I mean, I get it, rightfully so. You want to go have a good time, but it's not fun for us to watch.
No, Marcus, listen, listen. So since since 5 till probably the last 5 years, I used to look forward. No, I say last 10 years. Like I used to look forward to the All-Star game. I don't even watch it anymore. It does not go on my television.
Yeah, you see, that's kind of what I'm saying, right? Like I'm not excited. The dunk contest, the 3-point contest, like the whole weekend I have mapped out. Hey,
Yep.
hey, my boys are coming over. Hey, where we gonna watch it at? And now it's like, oh dang, the All-Star games this weekend. I forgot. Oh, I
Yeah,
get.
yeah. I don't even watch. I mean, I remember Kobe throwing an elbow to Dwayne Wade's nose and blooding his nose in the
Yeah,
All-Star game.
man.
And it just, I mean, like you just don't see that anymore. It's like it's not even a pickup game. They play harder in pickup games.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Um,
I don't know how to fix that. I know they're trying like a little mini tournament right now. I don't know if that's gonna help or not, but
right.
it doesn't sound like the players like the idea of this little mini tournament. So I don't know how to fix that.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy.
I guess it's not my job. They don't pay me the millions.
Yeah, right, 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 right.
Worry about it. Uh,
Right.
but no, man, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Just wanted to catch up and chop it up a little bit. I really appreciate you, man. I guess my last question before I let you go is the signs of a successful coach in your eyes. What makes a coach successful in his career?
Man, just a dude who and it depends how you define success, right? You're a guy who's genuine, like a guy who's going to spill his knowledge and his love into other people, a guy who's invested into their players, a guy who enjoys and loves his profession, a guy who loves his family. It's just so many things. That's how I define a successful coach, and I haven't mentioned wins one time.
Yeah, no doubt.
Um, now, um, now the wins help. Like the wins help you, continue to have success, to have a job, to potentially you move different directions, to potentially bring bring a younger kids into the business. You with the opportunities that you may have, endured during your success. Um, but that's how I define it, man. And You can't be closed-minded. You can't shield people off. One thing I told myself, because it didn't happen to me, man. When I was at Tennessee Tech playing, I had just finished up my senior year, and I sent Billy Donovan a letter. And he was the head coach of Florida, and I sent him a letter, and maybe like a week or two later in that summer with had team camp, and every gym had landlines in the gym for emergencies,
Mhm.
right? So I was reffing a game, and one of the assistant coaches at the time, I think his name is Tracy Garrett, at Tennessee Tech, was the gym manager. And I was reffing a game, and it was during halftime. And I'll never forget this, man. I'm going to go to my grave with this, right? And it's going to correlate with what I'm saying. It was during a timeout, and I'm leaning up against the back post of the basket, and and so he's waving his arm. He goes, Rick, the phone. He's holding up the phone. So I'm like, who's calling me on that phone?
Yeah.
I mean, God's honest truth. He said, Billy Donovan. So I couldn't. So I heard Billy. I said, what? He said, Billy Donovan. So he flips out. So he comes and takes the referee, and I'm on the phone with Billy Donovan, and I'm like, holy cow, this
Yeah.
dude. So I pick up the phone. I say, hello. Hey, Rick, how you doing? This is Billy Donovan. So I'm like, this dude called?
Yeah.
He
On
got
this
a hold of
phone?
me on the
Yeah.
gym phone. Now the secretary transferred him down to the gym phone.
Yeah.
So, he said, "Hey Rick, I just wanted to call you." And I said, "I got your letter. I appreciate your letter. He was complimenting, it was well written, blah, blah, blah." He said, "At the moment, I don't have a GA position, but stay in touch with me, son. I'll be able to help you out somewhat, some way down the road." And
Uh,
I think this might have been his second year at Florida.
yeah.
So my point is that defines a successful coaches, or doing things like that
Yeah.
for young, aspiring coaches like me. I'll never forget. I still have the letter at my parents' house in the shed, and I need to go find it.
Yeah.
But I mean, as soon as I held the phone, I didn't get what I wanted, was a GA position.
But the way it made you feel.
Man, I said, this dude took the time out to call me, man. And if I ever see him again, I don't know if he'll remember it, because that was over 25 years ago.
Yeah.
But it was like that dude called, and then like for the whole rest of the camp, everyone was like, "Yo, Rick had Billy Donovan call the phone."
But the thing,
But
like the work it takes to track you down in that gym, it wasn't just like a simple phone call. I know who to call. He had to put a little
man,
time in to make that happen.
it was and I don't think he had won anything. I mean, I think he had just taken over for Lon Kruger,
Mhm.
and just him. So like those are things that define a successful coach: investing in others, doing the right thing, investing in your players, man. You know, excuse me, I still have players to this day that are asking me to be in their wedding, be the godfather of their children. And that means more of the world to me than anything. And I will not let today, with how the transitioning of college basketball has become, with NIL and the transfer portal, I'm adapting to it. But I will not let what I've got into this business like to do, I will not let today's realm change,
No
right?
doubt.
Because most of these guys, I may have them for 1 year. Some
Yeah.
I may have for two. Back then, man, you develop relationships for 4 years, and on senior day, as coaches, you're bawling your eyes out because this dude, he fought hard for me for 4 years. I don't know if we'll see that again.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to let that bother me, because these dudes are really good young men, and that's what I think defines a successful coach.
Man, that was beautiful. And it correlated perfectly, man. And I got excited for you. Like, man, Billy Donovan's on the phone right now.
I'll never forget that, bro. Unbelievable.
Well, I appreciate you, Rick, man. I hope you enjoy the rest of your break. Good luck at practice tonight. And if ever I can help you down the road in any way, man, don't hesitate to call me.
Same here, man. I mean, please, please, I'm always here to help. I promise. I've known you for a year, and it seems like I've known you for about 5, 10 years.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
I mean, it's a genuine friendship, man. But if there's anything you need from me, I'm here as well.
Appreciate you, Rick. Enjoy your break, bro.
All right, brother. You too.
It's called Coaching Connection.